Welcome to today's session where we'll be hanging out in studio with one of my clients. This is going to be a special one because despite our international reach, she's actually one of our Aussies inside Teen Coach Academy, one of our locals. So I'm really excited to sit down and talk about how she's currently helping teenagers and parents. What's really cool about this lady's story is she doesn't come from a traditional teaching background, which is really exciting. She's a teacher in her own right, but comes from a nutritionist background and also NLP practitioner. So I'm really excited to dive deep a little bit today for you and take you through her journey as someone who's now currently coaching teenagers and parents. And I officially want to welcome Katrina Harrington to the studio. Katrina, it's so good to have you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, thanks, and delighted to be here.
It's so cool to finally meet in person because we've been, hanging out last 2 years?
Yeah.
Maybe coming up to
actually. It's
somewhat
gone quick,
3.
hasn't it? Yeah.
I believe it was KDG that introduced us. Is that right?
It was KDG and also Angela Carroll.
That's right.
Both of them gave me your name at various points.
Oh, well, shout out to those ladies if they happen to somewhat catch this episode. But really excited and thankful for our connection because, as I said, you don't come from a traditional teaching route, which is really exciting because I come from a teacher world. I know the lingo. I hang out with so many teachers. So coming across you, I can only imagine maybe that could have been a potential, not objection, but maybe a misconception, thinking that you had to be a teacher to coach teens.
Possibly, probably. It was a very unusual path that led me into the teen coaching space, I think. I had always wanted to work with teens in some capacity, but not as a teacher. And once I started my nutrition business 5 years ago, even when I graduated from college with my degree and was starting my business at the time, I wanted to work with teens. And people kept saying to me, there's not going to be enough teens who are interested in nutrition.
Trust.
Which is probably a fair call because there's plenty who are, but also it's a harder market to break into. And so it was a really roundabout way of bringing NLP into my practice as well, starting to work on mindset and then being able to navigate, okay, now I can get back to the group of people that I really wanted to work with the most.
So was it a specific conversation or maybe a parent you came across? Like what inspired the coaching lane for teenagers?
Gosh, that's a really good question. I don't actually recall what led me down that path beyond just this constant in my mind. I still would like to work with teens, and I started doing mindset coaching for adults for a lot of my nutrition clients who, as you would know, when you're on any sort of health journey, you can get the food right, but if the mindset isn't right, then other things don't necessarily fall into place. So I started working with adults. And then it was probably a conversation with KDG who said, why don't you start doing this with teens? And so a few of my colleagues, naturopaths, nutritionists, who I was working with at the time as well, started pointing the odd teen in my direction and it just evolved from there.
Naturally, that progression, I guess. You're already helping clients because when you first came to me, you weren't a beginner. You had an established business, which was really exciting. So I love to kind of throw teen coaching into the mix and we've certainly evolved your ecosystem as a result of that work. But before we get into that, I'm just curious around what you're currently seeing with your families or what parents are specifically saying to you when they come to you and request support for their kids.
In terms of what they're looking for. It's been a real mix. There's been issues around anxiety, sometimes a bit of panic attacks going on as well. There's been some heading down the path of school refusal, not quite there yet, but parents worried that their children are starting to say, I don't want to go to school. There's tears on a Monday morning. There's been quite a bit around friendship groups, just navigating the friendship challenges that our teenagers have. One more recently was around romantic relationship, and the parents were quite worried that relationship didn't seem to be the healthiest.
Yeah.
And they knew that they couldn't say to their child, step away.
Yeah, exactly.
Their child needed to come to their own conclusion about that, but to be able to work with that teenager on just navigating that and helping him come to a decision that was his was really valuable. And then there's just the organisation, I don't like to use the word motivation because I'm not really sure. But there's the helping teenagers generate their own self-motivation.
Mm-hmm.
So I had one who was coming into year 12. She was feeling a bit down. Her parents thought she was bordering on being depressed. They had seen a psychologist before, and she was adamant that she didn't want to see a psychologist. And they heard about me and said, let's give this a go. And they basically just handed her over to me for year 12.
Awesome.
They said, she's yours.
I love hearing that because as teachers, my favorite part of teaching anyway was the conversations with the kids and the conversation with the parents and helping them things beyond the classroom. And so being a PE teacher, naturally relationships and body image used to come up in conversation. So I can only imagine when parents have that space with a coach to actually address those concerns. I can only imagine how much confidence and clarity those families are receiving. What type of reaction are you currently receiving from parents?
From the parents, sometimes it's just relief. Often it's, well, I've told them that already.
Yes.
And I regularly say, that's okay. My kids don't listen to me either.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'll often preface a conversation with a parent with, I know you will have told your child
100%.
this already. And then I think, what other reactions have I got? Just that confidence in their own ability. So when I reassure them that I'm reinforcing what they're saying, or that everything they've done up to this point is still moving in the right direction, or that their child is okay and will be okay, and we're just working through some stuff. I think for them, it's just, I've got someone else on my side.
Yeah. I think it's special because, and you're right, we're not coaches at home. So I think we were having this conversation, what was it, last week?
We have had that before, yes.
For those that are listening in, when we're coaching or when I'm meeting with Katrina, everything's via Zoom. So you've been in our world for the last 2 years, but this is actually the first time we meet in person. But we were having those conversations last week on our Zoom call that we're not coach at home. I know when I come to whether give advice to someone, whether it's the cousins in the home or my mom or my grandmother, they see me as daughter. They don't see me as life coach. So I can imagine you have the same experience. But it's important for us to complement the message in the home, complement what parents are already saying to their kids, because that misalignment can create maybe a bit of tension or, walking on not so safe lines with the families. I'm curious around how parents are meeting you at the moment, and what have you learned since, I guess, our work together with business and social media, etc.
Yeah. When you say how parents are meeting me, do you mean how parents are coming across, as in finding me?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Generally, it's social media. So it's typically, there's been the odd one that's word of mouth referral, but most of them are seeing me on Facebook, either in some of the mums groups that I post in or just through my consistent posting.
Yep.
And that, since working with you, has really, because I guess having had my own business for 5 years now, I'm fairly consistent with posting, but in terms of getting the right messaging out to attract the right people, that's been, working with you, that's been one of the most valuable things for me.
And so a lot of these parents, and I think I know the answer to this, but a lot of these parents haven't actually met you, they like in person, they've seen you through social. It still fascinates me till today that we do have parents that are trusting us and hiring to coach their kids. What do you find has been helping you in building that trust with parents online?
Building the trust, it's two things. It's sharing some of the stories, what's been working, and it's running those pro bono campaigns where we just meet, we have a chat, I spend a few sessions with the teenager and get to know them, and then take it from there, so that then I'm not an unknown quantity. They're not sort of diving straight in without having tested the waters, so to speak. And then just seeing me show up consistently.
I love that. Keyword that Katrina said was pro bono. And so people tend to block their blessings around pro bono work. But please, honor the pro bono lane, because we want to meet the families as well. We want to suss out the energy and whether we align with the parents. And I think that's incredibly important. A lot of people go in just wanting to work with the child. And, I think for a lot of us from teaching, we're used to that. The parents drop off the kids at school and then we just, spend a whole year with them. But I think for you in pro bono, it's an opportunity for you to learn about the parents. What have you learned from pro bono specifically that you have loved or not so loved? Maybe a bit of both.
I loved to lean back into it. And I was resistant because I
Yes.
had done it previously.
Yeah.
And, I sort of thought, well, I'm past pro bono now. I don't need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it is such a beautiful way to make things easy for people to meet me. And also to get that sense of, are people really interested? Or are they just testing the waters as well, which is fine. People are allowed to test the waters.
Yeah.
So I love the opportunity to speak with A, the parent, B, the teenager with no pressure. It's just we're just sitting here having a chat. And that's what those first 3 sessions, I just have a chat, get some benefit out of it, and then go from there. What do I not love about it so much? That's tricky because really it's just, I guess the first call is always also a little bit, not also, but often a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
The very first one. But once you
For
get through
sure,
that,
breaking the ice, break the rapport, not break the rapport, build the rapport.
build the rapport.
But I think for us too, parents tend to want to speed up.
Yes.
And I always say to everyone in the academy, like, slow down.
Yeah.
When it comes to marketing and sales, for lack of better terms, I like to play hard to get a little bit. I don't like to force onto them or reveal the prices right away. I think because we have so many options now and there's different layers and levels of service and investment, if we tell them the price 9 times out of 10 without emotionally rolling them in, you're going to lose them. Unless someone's done the research, they know they want you, then they'll hire you basically off the bat. What have you learned from a sales perspective or handling the investment side of things, etc.?
Again, that pro bono piece just makes you relax a little bit. And also that, just to your point of just allowing the parents to come to me and not being too intense about. So, for example, say I put a post up saying that I'm looking for parents to work with, and I might get quite a few parents comment, put their hand up, and then when I message them, they'll disappear. And so then I think that's okay. They're not ready to lean in yet. So that gave me permission to let go of that, which was really valuable. And then also, once we do the initial call, the free sessions, and then as you call it, the bow tie call, it then just becomes much more about, well, this is where we were, this is where we could go.
Yep, definitely.
Are you interested? Would you like to move forward? And if the answer is no, no problem. You've still got some good value out of what we've done. And if the answer is yes, great.
Yeah, it's so natural. I love it. It's less scripted.
Yes.
You don't have to feel like you're trying to perform. You're just being yourself and attracting. I think that my biggest lessons is just, connecting with the parents on a cultural values level. And I find if you get along with the parents, you will often be completely fine with the kids.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a tricky parent or a tricky teenager you've had to deal with where maybe you've had to disqualify or
do you know, I've never had to disqualify anyone. There's certainly been parents where at first I've thought, oh, they're a little bit prickly and I've been a bit nervous, but then the more I get to know them. I had one mum who's very, she's short and sharp on the phone and short and sharp in emails. And we hadn't met in person because most of it had been on the phone or on Zoom calls. And then one day she actually came because I work from my home clinic and her daughter was driving, so she came to me all the time. But the mum was with her one day, and so I walked out to say hello, to meet her in person. She got out of the car and she ran over and she gave me the biggest hug.
Oh, wow.
And said, I'm so pleased to meet you in person. You've made such a difference to my daughter. It's been amazing. And I thought, oh gosh, because her emails she's just busy.
She's
That's
just
all.
short.
Yeah, they're just straight to the point. So it was a beautiful experience.
I love that. Yeah, because so much can be misinterpreted via text, and I think that's such a big lesson we've learned from a business side of things, from social media. A lot of our work is in the DMs. Which once again still fascinates me. You build on Facebook, you get parents in the DMs, you book calls and they become clients. Simple, not easy. What have you learned from the DMs? Because I know you had so much resistance. Like, got to get back into the DMs.
I know. I'm so I worry about being spammy in DMs, and that's where what's been really valuable, again, working with you and being guided by you, is how to approach it without being spammy. And giving me the steps to take so that I can start a conversation. If the conversation doesn't go anywhere, it's not about me. It just is what it is. So it's letting go of that as well. But you approach people and see how they respond.
And we're mindful too, because we know the way we do it parents are not on Facebook to find teen coaches. They don't even know teen coaching exists. Those that are watching in as well, you're still probably unsure about what teen coaching actually is. So we know that most parents that come across us are not ready for that conversation. So we entertain them through content and kind of dangle the carrot a little bit. And then by the time we get into the DMs, it's just really allowing them to just answer that first question. I'm curious, are you a parent? And then we go from there. Obviously, a lot of the resistance with DMs and social is that we're busy, we have a life, we might not enjoy the social media content as much as maybe we'd hope. Obviously, with working with me, we've plugged in some systems. I trained John as well, your virtual assistant. What have you learned through that whole process with John?
Oh, just to relax a bit. Once we had John trained up, which again could not have done that without your guidance and support there, but once we had him underway in terms of managing those, just being allowing myself the privilege almost to sit back and say, I'll just watch it unfold. And I don't need to jump in all the time and help and support or, oh my goodness, this person's answered, so I need to suddenly reply. It's just let it unfold naturally, which is how a normal conversation goes anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Take your time, play a bit of chess. Is that chess move?
Yes.
But once again, I don't expect them to jump out of the Facebook world right away. Once they're not there to buy. They're not there to just invest straight away.
Yeah.
So we want to enroll them emotionally and get to know the parents and, just help them see that there is someone that can guide their children. As I said before, your world is quite unique because we're throwing teen coaching into the mix. So you've got the nutrition lane, NLP, now teen coaching. Do you want to talk to that a little bit around where you see your business moving now that teen coaching is in the mix?
Yeah, it's one of my, the 6 human needs, one of my top needs is definitely variety.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that within my own business, I have been able to diversify my offerings. So people come to me for nutrition support, and that can be anything from weight loss to supporting their sports to managing hormonal fluctuations, perimenopause, things like that. And then with teenagers, they want to hear about nutrition, but only that much, really. They a lot of time, and they sort of know what to do, or they're following various people on TikTok and Insta, and I saw this and I learnt that. So being able to support them with their food, but much more broadly, so that I'm having an impact in their world without just saying, well, you should be having protein at breakfast and what are you eating at lunch?
Yep.
So that side, it's just, and they're completely different conversations that I have with a teenager when I'm coaching them versus with a mum who's on a weight loss journey. And then, as you mentioned also, I throw in NLP, so if somebody needs to do some really deep mindset work to help them to move forward and have an ability to break through, to let go of emotions that are getting in their way, that requires another skill set altogether. So when I have different types of clients all day, every day, I love it.
And we can flex.
Yeah.
That's why, the once-one model, I love the once-one model. Given, of course, it matches your appetite and the season you're in business.
Yes.
A common misconception, a lot of people, when there's so much noise online on how to build your business. One-to-one is not scalable. And I find that now that we've been able to diversify the way we deliver one-to-one, in my opinion, it's actually very scalable, given, of course, you're charging for what it's worth. And you're not underselling yourself. So it brings me to my next point on the way we've been able to ascend your one-to-ones in your world.
Yes.
I guess a lot of people think they have to charge high ticket straight away. Yes, we are high ticket, but the way we position it is actually quite affordable for a lot of parents. Talk me through the money model at the moment, kind of how you find your feet with what you charge and how you charge. Talk me through that a little bit.
So it took me a while to work out how, and honestly, some of the friends that I work with, we have, regular business meetups. And there were some of them who were just getting tired of hearing me say, but I don't know how to charge for this versus this versus this versus that. And I spent a lot of time, arguing with myself about the best way to approach it. And then I'm sure it was when I started working with you that you said, well, hang on, let's just simplify this. Let's just charge a monthly fee and make it simple. And so once I just let go of that, well, I need to charge X amount for this and X amount for that and X amount for the other, and went, no.
Yeah.
Let's come up with a monthly fee that feels good, that meets people where they're at. That made me feel so much more comfortable.
Mhm.
And then people work with me on a month-to-month basis, and then when they're ready, they start to spread out.
Correct.
So I still have my normal follow-up fee. It just released a whole lot of that back and forth in my own mind.
Exactly, sales is energy, and I find with us anyway, the way we do it is it's a proximity model. So if you want more proximity, amazing. You just, it's a higher investment. If you want less proximity, the outcome rarely ever changes. We're just mindful of managing expectations and what we can achieve at particular proximity levels. But yeah, if they want more from you, and that's where that unlimited approach comes in.
Yes.
Then we charge more for it.
Yeah.
But don't you love how some parents, they want the VIP treatment?
Yeah.
However, they might not have the budget for it.
Yes.
How do you deal with parents like that?
So to be honest, I haven't had too many in that area in terms of being demanding. So I've been able to be relatively flexible with, well, let's look at what you've got from a budget perspective.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a monthly model, but if that is outside of your budget, let's see if we can go fortnightly.
Yep, nice.
So how can we make it work for you as well?
Yeah.
And I've not had a single parent overstep the boundaries in terms of what they ask of me in terms of timing or anything like that. They've all been really reasonable.
They're good lessons. I find a lot of parents, I think the misconception, people come to us and they don't think parents will pay. I've met a lot of families that have money. And I think, especially from my experience, I remember one of my first teenage clients, that's when I was still coaching face-to-face. I showed up to their house and they lived in a multi-million-dollar mansion here in Strathfield in Sydney. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is so good. It was just so good to see that there's families who actually have money or willing to spend, and there's a market for that.
Yeah.
Whereas I think for a lot of us, especially from teaching, we want to just go and help people that might not have the money. But when it comes to business, we have to be mindful that this is a business.
That's right.
And there are a circle of parents in the market that are willing to spend a lot of money on their kids. Private schools, tutoring, sport, all that good stuff. So speaking of sport, you're a netball coach.
Yes.
Which is, I didn't know that in the beginning. I think you eventually told me.
Oh, probably, yeah. I just sort of assume people know.
Yeah, so it was kind of a nice angle of you that I get to see socially online. Tell me around just what you're witnessing in the girls in your netball club.
Yep.
When it comes to coaching, mindset, confidence, etc. What's showing up with the athletes?
With the athletes, there's the self-doubt in the, if they, say, for example, they're a goal shooter or a goal attack and they miss a goal and the head goes down, or I've let the team down. So there's that side of things, helping them to maintain their confidence on the court.
Yeah.
Because they'll come to training and be super happy and excited and have lots of fun, and then get to the game and suddenly it's a little bit more intense. There's a little bit around food. There's often what did you eat for breakfast? If they're, I'm really tired today.
If they eat breakfast, yes.
Did you have breakfast? How are you going to have energy for the game?
Yeah.
So we managed to get some of that in there. And there's also supporting your teammates. So if someone's on the court getting a little bit frustrated with their teammates, well, we need to navigate that and say, no, this is a team sport. We lift each other up. We don't get frustrated with each other.
Yeah.
So those sorts of things are fairly common.
Have any of them noticed, like with the parents, they watch you on social or they get curious around the life coaching side of things?
I've had a few parents actually say, oh, I might want to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
So, and I've been very careful not to, I'm open about it, but at the same time, I don't want to use my position as a netball coach to be selling my business. So I'm just very, very relaxed about it. If it happens to come up in conversation, I'll say, hey, by the way, this is what I do. If you want to do some free coaching sessions,
perfect.
they're available.
Yeah, perfect. Plant the seed.
Yeah, exactly.
Let them watch you on Facebook.
Yeah.
With adding friends. And I think I know I did this in the beginning. I printed the business cards and I invested in the website, and I had no business in the beginning. I had no business investing in those things in the early stages. So I wasted a lot of money on printing business cards. I think we're in a unique position in our market where we're the Facebook profile is the business card.
Yeah.
We use our personal Facebook profile, which once again, some people might be a bit worried around that. Do you have any advice around someone that doesn't use Facebook? They're maybe a little bit scared to be seen. Like, what's helped you put yourself out there and overcome any of that resistance?
Gosh, because there was resistance around that as well. And I actually created a new profile because whilst my name's Katrina, all my friends and family call me Katie.
Yep.
So I had a Katie profile and I created a new one, Katrina, and that became more of the which all my friends and family are on anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But it certainly took a while to feel confident to post pictures of myself, for example, to start to post things that are engaging and interesting. And so originally, you're following a formula. Oh, well, I need to teach people about nutrition and why do they need magnesium and where is iron going to help and sort of be in that teaching mode for a little while until over time I gradually, again with support of people like Angela Carroll and Katie G, understanding that I needed to just present who I am and what sort of people I help and start to share those stories.
Yeah.
And then just let go of, well, if somebody judges me for what I'm posting, they judge me.
The inner critic's real. I love your personal lifestyle photos, like when you went on a ski trip with your family and those angles, because once again on Facebook, people aren't there to find a coach 99% of the time. So when we're sharing these personal photos or angles of us or even characters' stories, I speak about my Teta all the time on Facebook. So they're way more resonating with the audience. And so, those photos of you, I know you do it more often now than when we first met.
Yeah.
So I probably pushed you a little bit
I think so, definitely.
to get yourself out there. But I find, once again, just with growing the audience, do you find a lot of your parents are coming from Sydney? Have you extended your reach outside of Sydney? What's that at the moment?
I have a bit of a combination. So I've got a couple in Perth. That was a business contact. I have worked with people in Melbourne, again, sort of business contact.
Yeah.
Most of my clients are in Sydney, but they're not all in person. So even if they're in the surrounding area, I'm in the Hills District, I've got quite a few who are just on Zoom as well.
Yeah, amazing. And I appreciate you mentioning that. Like if anyone's watching in either from the Hills District or know of parents in the Hills District, Katrina, it would be a great point of contact for you, whether that's with parents, teenagers, or even schools. I know you're wanting to get into schools eventually.
Yeah.
Have you been dancing around that arena a little bit?
Oh gosh, I hop in and out, sort of kind of. So I did. I don't think I finished it. The Speak in Schools program. I'm probably 2/3 of the way through it. I still, whilst I love the one-on-one model, I also enjoy working in a group scenario.
Yep.
And so any chance that I can create for myself to speak to a group of teenagers and just for an hour at a time or half an hour and just have an impact. I really love that. And in fact, I did one recently for a local netball club, not my club, but another one. And that was a lot of fun. So I would still like that opportunity to get in and work with smaller groups because I think there's a lot to be gained from that.
Going back into the school grounds for sure will be interesting. What were you like as a kid back in school days?
I like to say to my own kids that I was not one of the nerds. I say that I was just middle of the road. My husband just rolls his eyes at me. He didn't know me at school, but he's assumed that I was
Same
one of the
school?
nerds. No,
okay.
No, we didn't meet till we were 30.
Yep.
And I was at an all-girls school.
Okay.
So I was very driven actually to get good marks, and I studied hard. I was the yearbook editor in Year 12. I had a good group of friends. I stayed below the radar. I didn't do anything extreme.
That's awesome though. So I think as well I'm mindful of not trying to compare our schooling journey to kids today.
So different.
Because it's very tempting.
Correct, yeah.
We didn't do that back in school or things weren't like that. But I think now with kids being born into a digital world, I think sport saved me, to be completely fair. Sport gave me a purpose in high school. But now kids are struggling a lot in schools. They've got social media, now ChatGPT and AI and everything like that. Gaming as well. Do you find any of the AI or ChatGPT, does that come up a lot?
That hasn't come up yet. Gaming a little bit, but not so much. But yes, definitely the social media piece and just helping them navigate, because there's no escape, is there?
No.
For them. Whatever's going wrong at school, if I was having problems with my friends, you could come home and the only option was the telephone.
Yep.
Whereas now they're always accessible. So helping them to work their way not through but around it so that it doesn't impact them negatively.
Yeah.
And just helping them to realize that what you're feeling right now is not what you will feel forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to feel it now. And I get that it's way more intense than it was when
Yep.
I was at school. What can we do?
Yep.
to
Yep,
make
definitely.
sure
I think also with academics, like I remember when I was in grade 12, I couldn't see past the HSC.
Yes.
That was just my life for a very
same.
long time.
Same.
But obviously they have more options now. Whilst I'm a fan of, depending on the job you want to go for and you go to university, you get the degree, there's so many more options now than going to university. And I think teenagers get a bad rap.
Yes, absolutely.
I think the generations before them think that there's just one pathway.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across families or parents that are maybe one-way street when it comes to
There's
career?
definitely an element of that. And with my own kids, my middle child left school halfway through year 10 to do an apprenticeship.
Nice.
Perfect thing for him because he was not the right school, didn't work for him. And I was 100% supportive of that. My husband also very supportive of it, but at first had that, should he finish year 10 or what's the best thing?
Yeah.
So I think that has helped me realize just how it's perfectly fine. You'll do what you need to do.
Yep.
And same from a study perspective. If I'm not big on you must sit down and study for 2 hours every day because I don't think you can force that on anybody. But if they want to
That's
study,
a lot, yeah.
let's support them.
And I think people now are starting to pay more attention to, once again, you assess it case by case scenario and depending on the family, but homeschooling's on the rise. It could have been maybe, I think post-COVID and people started to pay attention a little bit. A lot of families adapted to homeschooling or distance learning. So talk me through a little bit around, do you have any homeschooling parents in your circles? What does that look like?
I don't yet, but I would love to support that because I am much less focused now on the need to follow the school system.
Yeah.
So long as you're getting the learning in, so long as you're developing and growing, I think that's so much more important than you must be at school from 9 till 3 and you must learn this, and this from a subject perspective. So hats off to any parent who wants to homeschool because I certainly couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's hectic.
Yeah. But if there are, I just think it's an area where you can just really help those children explore and understand how they learn. And I think that's a key piece that I've picked up from all the NLP work as well, is that there is so many different ways that we learn. And traditional schooling is only one model.
100%. I find it's, once again, working through the families, I witness a lot of homeschooling parents and they go crazy.
Yeah.
They're, headless chicken, trying to do everything on their own. I have loved ones that are also homeschooling their own kids. And I find that they don't realize the school system's the problem, not teachers. And so when it comes to introducing teachers and coaches in the home, like that is an option with teen coaching. And I hope that they start to pay more attention to the fact that they can be hiring teachers and coaches to come in. Whether they have resistance around investment and everything like that, it's a different story. But I find allowing mums to just be mums.
Yes.
And then bring in a teacher or bring in a coach, ideally both. There's a lot of support now for homeschooling families. But it's an exciting stage for you to start bringing in homeschooling parents.
Yeah, it would be lovely.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of just supporting them with the nutrition, the NLP. You also support teenagers with the NLP too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So do they sit down like breakthrough sessions? What does that look
but
like?
we tend to spread it out over longer. So if I'm doing a breakthrough session with an adult, it might be, 2 or 3 sessions over a couple of weeks where we do 2 to 3 hours. With the teenagers, particularly if I'm doing something like including timeline therapy in there, I will just do it in short bursts. So I'll introduce them to it 1 week. We'll start on it the next week, generally half an hour at a time at the most. I have gone longer with some teenagers, but I just find they'll get more out of it if we just spread it out and it has time to build. But yes, we've done a lot of work around limiting beliefs, around letting go of those negative emotions, around reframing, which is obviously coaching in general anyway. But also some of the super cool techniques, there's I think you know of it, the swish pattern just to change your behavior. I just did one of those recently with one of my teenagers. She said, I keep picking at my face and I need to stop. And so we went through that little swish pattern process, and 2 weeks later I said, "How's it going?" She said, "I haven't touched my face at all."
Crazy. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
NLP.
Yeah.
Such a huge fan of it. And I think that's also what gave me the confidence around when you first started with us. And we can appreciate certification has a place. With you, I didn't really push it on you. And I knew you were wanting it, and it would have been a great bonus. And of course, you ended up joining practitioner, teen coach practitioner.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, did you have any reservations around coaching teens without a formal teen coaching certificate?
A little. It was nice. I liked the certificate just as and I've got the website and so on, just to say, okay, I'm not just making this up.
Yep. And I think that's something to reassure everyone.
Yeah.
With the way we've built Teen Coach Academy is not so you feel like you're not qualified enough and then come and study.
Yes.
It's filling in and kind of adding an extra layer, and then allowing you to leverage our name and our credibility so that you can build extra trust with parents, because authority and trust will come from where you've studied as well. When I first became a teacher, I think I was 21, 22 when I first graduated.
Yeah.
Parents trusted me.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
You graduated as a teacher.
But they trusted me because I was in the school or I studied at a particular university.
Yeah.
And that's the same approach we want to have with Teen Coach Academy. But of course, be mindful of who we're letting in, and building on top of what you already have, which is the NLP and the nutrition. I'm curious, Katrina, what's been a nice surprise, whether that's working with me or just what you've witnessed in the academy? The last 2 years, things have changed as well.
Yeah.
What comes to mind? What's been a nice surprise?
The support of everybody within, without feeling like there's a lot of pressure to show up every week to group calls or anything like that.
Yeah.
But just the little support in the Slack community is really, really sweet. Something goes well, you quickly post it in there, and guaranteed 3 or 4 people will say, "Yeah, you well done." Yeah. Or you see other people and think, "Oh, okay. If they're doing that, I can do that."
Suss it out.
Yeah, that. And I think in terms of our one-on-ones, what's been super valuable is not just obviously learning how to support teens. So whenever I have a scenario and I think, I just want a bit of clarity around that, you give me some beautiful questions to ask the teens or some suggestions to think about in the back end, and also confidence to work with parents. That's come much more from working with you. But the other thing was building the business side has just really, that's been a game changer for me.
I love what we're currently building, which is your in-house event.
Yes.
Because a common trap, and I know I was in this trap, is always trying to look for new clients. And what I love is the ascension for current clients. That back end is very powerful when done correctly. So you're currently just, at this time of the recording anyway, you're about to launch an in-house event.
Yep.
Talk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, so I've run plenty of masterclasses before for nutrition clients, and that's always with the focus on trying to bring in new clients.
Yeah.
But I've never really thought about, well, how can I nurture my existing clients? Because you sort of go, well, they're coming to see me, they're fine. So when you flipped that around for me and said, no, let's just start focusing on your existing clients, and then we'll put out guest tickets. And this time it's going to be a masterclass focusing on family support, which is what I really love to do. So that's what we're doing.
I can't wait.
And building. And that's getting exciting because I've started to have people register for it. I'm promoting it now. And
perfect. Yeah, perfect. I think that was a big game changer for you when I said I never run masterclasses on the front end.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was.
I used to, but it was just it was too much pressure to get these new people coming in.
Correct.
We can afford to market a little bit less as well. There's less pressure on the front end media support because you're hanging out with your current clients and then word of mouth from there. So I'm excited to see how that goes, and really supporting you all around. It's not just a masterclass. You're giving value, but unapologetically, it's a sales event. And when I've owned that, that's where I started to work backwards from what the offer is on the stage. So 10 sign-ups so far. That's really exciting.
It is.
Yeah, that's going to be good for you too.
Yeah.
What are you excited about as just the facilitator or the coach in the room?
I love any open event, even though, I get nervous because I'm talking to a group of people. But I always find once I get going, I'm good. But I love the concept of pulling together the information that I will share with them.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
probably what I'm most excited about. And when I look back at some of the earlier masterclasses that I used to run and think, oh my goodness, versus what I now, have know and have learned about how to present and how to engage with people. So each time I do one, it gets better.
Yep.
So I'm excited to bring the content together.
I love the personal evolution with content. Oh, if I was to look back on my first live video, it was horrendous.
I'm actually quite pleased that Facebook decided they were going to scrap live videos after 30 days because some of mine back in the first couple of years.
Yeah. Like I used to frown a lot.
Headlights.
I used to frown a lot because I used to think what I was trying to say.
Yep.
And I remember after my first Facebook Live, my auntie watched it. She calls me up. She goes, "Are you okay?" It's like, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Why? What's wrong? She said, "You just look really upset." And I'm like, it's because I'm frowning. I'm just trying to think so hard into this content. She goes, "Yeah, you sound depressed as well." I'm like, well, I need to go watch that back. And it was just cringe. But it just goes to show you don't have to be perfect to start.
At least you started.
At least you started, exactly. So how long has it been now for your business since starting?
It was 2020.
Yeah, nice.
So coming up to 6 years this year.
It goes fast, doesn't it?
It does.
Gosh.
It flies.
Over the next 5 to 10 years, that's where I find the market's really going to – you start to see where people start to, grow and detach from maybe the crowd. But teen coaching is growing. People are paying attention to it more.
Yeah.
Do you still find people come across you and they ask you what teen coaching is? How would you explain it in your terms? Katrina makes up the rules.
Yep.
How would you say it?
Yep. So I say that we work on building a positive mindset. It's helping them have the tools that they need to navigate the challenges that they're facing, whether that be school, whether that be friendships, whether that be relationships. It's about improving communication in the home. It's about identifying what their goals are and helping them work towards it.
Nice.
Even helping some of them with challenges that they face in their casual jobs, and creating an environment in the home where people can continue to grow without pressure.
Yep. I love that because and there's lots in the mix. Like there's just so much you can help with.
Exactly.
I remember you loved this when we first started working together. We all tend to waffle in the beginning when someone asks us, what do we do? And then I always helped you all just speak less and ask them what they want.
Yes.
And I think that was hard maybe in the beginning.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. And so just to reassure everyone, we co-create the experience with the families. So just put it back on them. I'm curious, what are you looking for? But if they have to consume our work as well, right?
Yes.
They have to watch you on Facebook.
Yes.
If they don't know who you are, they're probably not going to answer those questions.
Yes.
But emotionally, how do you handle the ghosting in the DMs?
Now really
compared
upset
to before.
Me. I used to take it all so personally, and now I'm just like,
yep, it happens.
It happens. And, to be fair, sometimes I'll be having a conversation with someone else who might be interested for me to work with them.
Yeah.
And then something gets in the way and you forget about it. And, your DMs, particularly in Facebook, they scroll through.
Now yours is on the roll.
Exactly.
They're moving.
Yeah. So, no, I just, I don't take anything to heart or very, the odd thing, but
I think we're only human.
That's right.
We do
occasionally you'll think, oh, I thought we were going well. But again, people get busy.
Yep. You learn the frameworks, the ins and outs. Like obviously with our workbooks, we've got so much in the mix now. What's been just kind of thinking about what has popped out to you from the frameworks, whether that's the consult framework, the teen activities, maybe it's the DM script, for example. What's been a favorite framework?
Oh gosh, I like all of them. The teen activities super handy, particularly with you get the quieter teens who aren't quite sure what they want to talk about yet.
Yeah,
and so just knowing that I can always dip into one of those and say, well, hey, let's have a look at this.
Yep.
That's super helpful. The DM script, absolutely, because I, as you know, was floundering in there with what do I say, And then, but even the prac manual, there was just so much gold in there.
That's our baby,
Yeah, it's absolutely. So, and, as you've got them here, I've got them all printed out at home. Just occasionally you open something up and flick and think, oh, yeah, that's right. That's perfect. Let me pop back to that one for a minute. There's so much valuable information.
It's you can never get bored with looking at this manual too. But we've got such great, we've got so many forms and feedback, etc.
Yeah.
We built this in mind where wearing our teacher cap.
Yeah.
And of course with coaching. And so when you're going into schools, we want it to quite like align really well with the school curriculum. But essentially, yeah, you just go in and you flex. You make up the rules. We'll give you the guidelines, but don't feel like you need to pigeonhole yourself in having to sound like a teacher or having to sound like another coach or NLP. You're playing in your own lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no competition there. What have you learned about yourself throughout the whole process since starting with Teen Coach Academy?
That I think I have. That sounds hesitant, doesn't it? Let me rephrase that. I've learned that I have a lot to offer teens and families. And just that when I see the impact that I'm having, that confidence then builds on itself.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I think with teens, it's tricky because working with children, it's very sensitive. And so naturally we go in questioning and we want to make sure it feels safe. But parents are very trusting, aren't they? Maybe too trusting.
Can be.
Yeah, it can be.
Can be. Yeah.
I know I've had parents that will happily leave their kids in the Zoom room with me.
Yep.
And which is a beautiful compliment, of course. Like we've got the authority, but I am mindful of educating the parents around, let's meet together. Don't just throw your child in the Zoom room. Like some parents don't sit in the console.
Most of my parents don't sit in the console.
Yeah.
Most of them don't. I have some who are in, well, no, actually 90% are not in the consult.
Yeah.
I give them a quick update each week.
Do you mean during, so you have the first consult though, but they do sit in that consult, but the actual coaching sessions are separate?
Correct.
Yeah, perfect. That's the way we do it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, no, we've had parents that even on the first consult.
Not even the first one.
Yeah, we've had to like educate them, say, no, please make sure you come to the first consult. But for the most part, most parents are fine.
Yeah.
So, but the sessions are separate. How do you build rapport with the kids and break the ice a little bit?
Depends on the child. Some of them are more open than others. Obviously, there's all of your, again, what's in your manuals around some of those initial questions to build rapport.
Yeah.
Super helpful. So I always start with those, particularly in the first session, tell me about your family. What do you like at school? So just keep it really relaxed.
Yep.
What is it that they might want to talk about? If they're into sport, then I will always talk about sport. I joke about, I've got a little dog sometimes. So if they come to see me in person, we'll talk about the dog, and he obviously loves everybody. So that's handy.
Yeah.
I had a 12-year-old. She was so shy and quiet, but gosh, she was beautiful. So it was just a softly, gently approach.
Can only imagine as a kid, it'd be quite intimidating. Showing up to, some random coach or in the clinic or on a Zoom room. So, yeah, we're mindful of we want to create safe space for the kids. But it's beautiful. I've loved witnessing how you communicate with the parents. You ask me questions on our one-to-one calls every week on how to handle it. It's my favorite part because I've learned a lot too around, well, people will still have questions around that. Even though you're a seasoned expert, there are things that you might be curious around. How would I approach that with a parent? So that's definitely a strength of mine that's grown over the years. But I love that you're so natural with everything, being a mum as well. Do you ever switch caps sometimes in the conversations with parents?
Yes.
Yeah, what does that look like?
I probably do. So that's and that's always a balancing act. I do it in the conversations with the teens as well.
Yeah, nice.
Particularly where I'm conscious that I need to support whatever the guidelines and the rules are in the family home. Even if I may be slightly more relaxed with what I do in my home, I need to support the parents and how they want to run their house.
Yeah.
So, and I will be quite honest with the kids and literally say, just putting my mum hat on for a minute. Or I'll say something and I'll say, that sounded like a mum comment. Well, and then I joke, well, I am a mum.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it sometimes.
Nice.
So I'll be really open with it about it. And with the parents, they need to know as well. I'm very open when I'll say, stuffed up this with my kids before, or as I said, my kids don't listen to me all the time. So I'm very honest and open about that.
Yeah, that's really good. I think helping them manage expectations, or even for us to manage expectations. I remember when I was a PE teacher, I'd assume every kid would love sport.
Right.
Because that was just my life. And I thought, why amazing.
Wouldn't you?
And not every kid loves PE.
Yeah.
And you had the girls, showing up with Miss, I have my period almost every week. I'm like, come on, like
every week?
Come on. It's the same note you've given me every single week. Like, surely not. And so not every kid loved PE.
Yeah.
And so I took that lesson into coaching, that not every parent will see the value, or not every parent will have a particular parenting style that I may have resonate with.
Yes.
And not every child is so driven and hungry and
Yeah.
motivated for
Exactly.
success. But little things like maybe as mum, things that you do in your home that you think other mums would be doing but maybe not.
Yes.
Possibly around nutrition, of course,
Yeah,
as
well,
well.
definitely around nutrition, and also around allowing kids, and I think this has evolved with my parenting style over time, just allowing them to express themselves,
Yep.
to share their opinions without fear of, well, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And giving them time and space. You know, if my daughter comes home from school and she's had a bad day and she doesn't want to talk and she wants to go to her bedroom, that's fine. She'll talk when she's ready. And then on the flip side of that, if she comes home and she's ready to talk, if I'm not in the middle of a consult with a client, she's in the study, she's sitting down ready to talk.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I will spin my chair around and say, okay.
I love it.
Because you've got to make the most of those opportunities.
So cute. Of course, of course. And I think, well, I know what we do is actually very simple. It's not this extravagant service, to be completely honest.
Yes, correct.
It's really simple stuff.
Yep.
But it's the basics that are neglected. Like sometimes we're helping them with night routines.
Yes.
Pack their school bag before the next morning. And people pay us. Parents pay. And people think, is that what you're doing? But it's very simple stuff that tends to be overlooked with parents. I'm sure they probably have said that to you from time to time.
Well, as I said, they will say, I've told them this.
Yeah.
I've said this to them 100 times, and I just make a joke of it every time.
But they're conditioned to not listen to mum and dad.
Right.
What are the dads like in your world? Because we naturally attract a lot of mums.
Yes.
Even our male coaches attract a lot of the mums on that first consult.
Mums often do the heavy lifting in that regard.
Yeah. What are the dads like, and what have you learned?
The dads that I've gotten to know, and I'm just working through in my mind, they're getting more and more involved.
Beautiful.
Which I love. So
Music
I'll get
to
the
my
dads
ears.
to come to even just so it'll still be the mum usually doing the drop-off pickup if they're coming to see me. But otherwise, the monthly check-ins that I do with the parents, I'm asking for the dads to come along as well.
Perfect.
And when I think back over my client list, most of them I've met now.
Yeah, nice.
Even one I just met recently for the first time on Zoom happened to be there, and it was really nice to put the face to the name and to see his perspective. So, it's
Were
lovely.
you doing that a lot in the beginning?
No.
So safe to say I may have been a contributor to that?
Yeah, I was
perfect.
nervous about that
I'm
as well.
very unapologetic about that,
Oh,
guys.
no,
Get your
absolutely.
dads.
Get the dads in there.
If wives, you're listening, get your husbands involved. And husbands, if you're watching, be unapologetic about being involved in your children's teen coaching journey. Like, I'm very loud about that.
Yeah.
But thank you for answering that.
Yeah, and I was nervous about that to begin with as well, because I'm used to talking with mums mostly.
A lot of coaches actually are.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more around just the resistance with the dads?
I suppose it probably comes back to whether or not they believed that it was valuable. And you do sometimes hear mums say that, oh, well, they just leave all the emotional stuff for me to deal with.
Yeah.
So I was never sure, are they going to be on board or not? And then the ones that I've met, straight in there.
They're just so good.
Yeah, they're ready,
Yeah.
and they're keen to learn how they can better communicate with their child and vice versa.
Beautiful.
As well. So,
oh, beautiful. That's probably my favorite, one of my favorite aspects of what we do. That alone, if everything else, I think it will be a ripple effect from there, but involving the dads and allowing them to have that space, I find maybe they don't think that they're taken seriously enough in the schooling journey either.
Possibly not. They're just, for so many of them, the dads are off at work all day, the mum may be working part-time or maybe working slightly less hours and does all the running around and the coordinating of those bits and pieces. And then the dad's expected to suddenly understand what to do when their child has a meltdown or goes off the rails. And
yes.
Why would they? And they've grown up in a different era.
What about when the mums have a meltdown?
That too, and then that's, for me, that's letting them know that's okay. You've been through a lot. There's one recently where I said you've had a heck of a journey going on. You're allowed to have a meltdown.
Yeah,
and let's talk through how we can then help you come out the other side as well.
Exactly,
so I think it's knowing that they're not alone,
expressing that to their husbands as well, and it's look, it's very challenging because you want to work with the child.
Yep,
and then we realize it's now a family partnership. So when people ask me, Lanita, what do I charge? and then they try to compare themselves to other life coaches.
Yeah.
And then I break it down. You don't have just one client.
Yes.
In our world anyway. You
Yeah.
have teenager plus mum and dad,
Mm-hmm.
and then you throw a sibling into the mix. That's, north of 4 clients that you're supporting. So traditionally speaking, we wouldn't charge with what a typical life coach would charge.
Yep.
Definitely no rush to get there from a high ticket perspective, but if we were to play at that level, which we do, then it would make sense.
And that's something that, again, starting out with teen coaching,
Mm.
I always thought, oh no, I'm just helping the teen. And now I realize, as you said, there's so much, and everyone gets so much more out of it when you're working with the family, with the parents. And even starting to, not necessarily working with a sibling yet, but just connect with them a little bit, or talk to the teen that I'm coaching. Well, tell me about your relationship with your sibling.
Yeah, exactly. We just knock on the door, ask the question, plant the seed. But I say once you have that one client in the family, they just don't know yet.
Yes.
They don't know our world. Mum doesn't know that we want dad involved until we ask, and
exactly
things like that. Our application forms, our screening process.
Yes.
I know that you loved that piece.
Yes.
Around screening the parents. What have you learned from an authority point of view with your marketing and applications?
What have I learnt from an authority point of view? I think that particular piece around the screening, around the not just assuming that everybody knows what they want when they ask for help initially, and also, though, giving people awareness that they need to actually think about it as well. This is not just, I'm not here to fix your kid.
Yeah, but perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. We have
together.
to be careful with that, with parents coming in. And look, we get the occasional parent that just whinges, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
And we're mindful of the type of parents we want to help. And if it's too much of a victim mindset, or blaming the school, or blaming a previous coach. Have you ever come across?
No, fortunately.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
I've come across maybe a couple of those.
Yeah.
Because if they complain about a previous coach,
what will they say in the future
about us?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's pretty exciting stuff around the work that you're doing, the impact you're having on the community. In Sydney alone, there's not many teen coaches.
No.
We have a big reach in America at the moment, but Australia is starting to catch on. Talk me through that a little bit. Does that excite you, knowing that there's not many of us in Sydney?
Yeah, it does, because you're sort of there. As a nutritionist, there's plenty of nutritionists, there's plenty of dietitians, there's plenty of naturopaths, and I think everyone has their space.
Yep.
And there's enough people for all of us to work with.
Yep.
But teen coaching, it's such a beautiful and rewarding area to be a part of. I absolutely love it. And so, yes, being able to reach more people as the word, I guess, gets out there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
What's it been like hanging around teachers? As someone that doesn't come from teaching, what have you learned around, what teachers are like in our world?
So much. Sorry, I have an itchy nose. I have so much respect for teachers. I think teachers get a raw deal. I think there is a ridiculous amount of pressure on teachers in the schooling system.
Yeah.
And teachers go into teaching with such a beautiful heart. You go into teaching because you want to help people. Yeah. So working with teachers in Teen Coach Academy and just seeing how much they want to work, or they want to help teens beyond the schooling curriculum. And then, to me, there's also that element of, what's the word? Intimidation is not the right word, but just it's inspirational, because they have so many skills already in navigating a room of 30 kids.
Yeah.
And hats off to them for doing that. And they're with them all day, every day as well.
That's crazy.
So, but then you think that they've got so much to bring to the table. And so having a conversation with a teacher around supporting a teen just brings in so much valuable information for me.
It is a beautiful skill set that I think we don't get enough credit for.
Absolutely.
But I find switching into teacher mode certainly helps in the academy, because we know the inside goss in schools. We know what's going on. We know how they hire speakers. We know how to vet through.
Yeah.
We understand the curriculum lingo. So when it comes to coaching and trying to get your foot in the door, I certainly take that lane and leverage it as best as I can. But also with parents, I find parents don't realize there's a lot more they can ask for. And whether they get shut down due to the school limitation or whether they just don't ask, we try to arm you with those advantages to empower the parents to say, look, you can actually ask for this or you can request this from the teachers, etc. Do you find parents come across you and they're stuck with the schools or stuck with teachers a little bit?
A little. One of the clients that I've got at the moment, actually, no, I've had a couple where they've said the schools have been amazing.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I think you're right. It's about getting into the right person. And once you have the right person, it might be the right head of year or it might be the deputy principal or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of support in there, provided you're right. You know how to access it.
So one of my favorite questions to ask is, did you have any objections before joining the academy?
I would have had, and because you'd been on my radar for a while, and we'd had a call, I don't know, a few years prior as well, which I really appreciated because it was a completely zero pressure call. It was yep, here's what I do, here's where I am, here's where you can find out more information if you want to, So I felt very welcome without feeling any pressure. Yeah. So did I have resistance? Probably for about 30 seconds around investing.
Katrina,
when you know actually, deep down that that your resistance is not really resistance at all, you're just pretending it's resistance.
You handled your own objection.
I do that all the time. Yeah, I do that with you regularly, and I did that when I worked with KDG as well. I just taught myself around really quickly.
Love it, love it. It's you have a beautiful journey inside TCA because some people they want to take the top level right away and from 0 to 100. I love your journey because I'm very similar as a client. You took small bites and came in, it jumped at one level, took your time, grabbed something else. Then it was practitioner certification. Now we're working one-to-one together. So it's been a nice gradual pathway for you. And I think that's you've really appreciated the speed that we've worked at as well. Yeah.
Well, that flexibility from you to be able to do my own pace with the prac certification as well and then move into the one-on-one, it worked.
This is a common objection we get, so I want to touch on this a little bit. You haven't completed the certification just yet, is that correct?
No, I did the certification.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. So when you first started though, how many months was it before you actually touched the certification?
I did it fairly quickly because I'm one of those people who likes to tick boxes. So I just straight away, you would have loved it because I had it written down in a big notebook where I had all of the modules for each thing and how many so I could tick because I like to tick things off. So I tick them off as I go. So I don't think it took me too long. Yeah, it was just a few months.
It wasn't a lot of modules either. It's pretty straightforward.
It was all quite manageable and easy. And because they're modules, they're bite-sized, so you could go, right, I've got a spare hour here or a spare half hour. Let me just knock another one over.
Well, the point of it is for you to go and help families as soon as you can and not get stuck in the course and study for months and years and just like parents need us now and they want us today. So it's nice that you were able to have a balance between the two, which is really great. But yeah, safe to say there weren't that many objections. You were probably watching me for a little while too, so I'm mindful I got to do my role on the front end. And same thing to you, you would need to do your role on the front end. If there's any parents that will be watching this and they're sussing you out, is there anything that you'd love to bring to their attention, maybe to get to know you a little bit more or handle any of their objections? What would you say to parents watching you?
In terms of anything I'd like to bring to their attention, just simply that I have such a passion for helping teenagers because I think they can be misunderstood, and my underlying belief is that every single teenager is an amazing person. Yeah. And we just need to find a way to help them bring out their own unique amazingness. And in terms of objections, well, you don't know until you try.
Yeah, true.
And so you give it a go, and if it works, great. And if it doesn't, no harm. Good. Yep.
I would totally apply that to people watching me as well. Yeah. Yeah, like if there was I think specifically to people that aren't teachers, any words of advice for those that might be considering teen coaching, but they're just sitting on the fence?
Such amazing support from TCA, regardless of background. So you certainly don't have to be a teacher. Yeah. I'd said that I'd wanted to work with teens. I grew up in a big household. I'd worked in summer camp. So there's always been sort of kids involved in my life in some way. But I never felt that not being a teacher held me back.
Yeah, beautiful.
It just felt this is great. There's plenty of support here.
Just honouring your lane.
Yeah.
NLP, nutrition, netball, just choose the lanes that honour you.
Exactly.
And then we leverage that respectfully. So if someone was to find you, where can they find you and suss you out?
They can find me on Facebook, Katrina Harrington. They can find me. My website is katrinasfamilynutrition.com.au. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Beautiful.
And I do have a business page, Katrina's Family Nutrition, on Facebook as well, and on YouTube.
Love it.
Katrina's Family Nutrition.
So good. Yep. Definitely, if you're not connected to Katrina just yet, certainly Facebook will be a strong platform for you to just see what she's like, learn about the type of woman she is as well, coming from a family-orientated woman too. And you don't know until you try.
Exactly.
And so teen coaching's on the rise. I find that we're just in a very beautiful space at the moment. And we're just very early years in teen coaching, even though we've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Very early years regarding the academy. So it's exciting that you're one of our first Aussies.
Very lucky
in
to
the
be
mix,
here.
which is great. It's been a pleasure hosting you today as well too. So I look forward to our next meetup when that happens, God willing. But congratulations again on all your success.
Thank you.
It's been really fun supporting you.
It's been very, very pleasurable.
Yep.
Thank you so much
Amazing,
for
Katrina.
supporting me.
Good luck with everything as well.
Thank you.